Hello everybody and welcome into my latest live broadcast. It is the 20th of April 2023. It's Thursday and my name is CareyHolzman and I'm here today because it is time, I think, to replace my Dell XPS. Was this a 9570? I think it's a 8th generation Core i7. And I've replaced this actually with an 11th gen, but it doesn't have anything but USB-C ports on it. And I guess Dell decided that nobody needs anything other than USB-C. They've removed HDMI, they've removed USB type A, so no more plug-in flash drives in, unless of course you've got their little adapter that plugs into USB-C and then breaks out into HDMI and USB, which is one more thing to cart with you, one more thing to break. So when the 13th gen came out, I was hopeful that Dell would have taken a step back and realized they jumped in too quickly to the USB-C bandwagon. But no, they are stubbornly keeping it exactly the same. So I decided it was time to look elsewhere, and I've been really enjoying my Samsung Galaxy S23, my Samsung televisions. So I thought, well, let's see what Samsung's got for laptops. The Book3 is their latest version. And this has an RTX 4070 and Core i9 13800H in it, and a bigger screen, AMOLED. And the screen is more square shaped. I'm not quite sure I like that. The Dell, by comparison, is more rectangular. If I can move stuff out of my way. So this is a 16-inch screen. This is a 15-point-something-inch screen. RAM is going to be soldered on these, which is ideal because by soldering on the RAM, you're less likely to have any RAM issues. Of course, that means you're not going to upgrade the RAM, so be sure you buy the laptop with as much RAM as you want. In this case, I got it maxed out, which is 32 gigs of RAM and a 1 terabyte NVMe. Now, if you recall, this machine I upgraded to 4 terabytes of NVMe and 64 gigs of RAM. So knowing that 32 was going to be my max and 1 terabyte was going to be my max, I thought, you know what, I'll throw a 4 terabyte in it when I get it. So on the screen, you'll see I've got some icons here. This just came in today, so I have run some tests and updates. By the way, if you have a pre-built machine, including desktops and laptops, look for the manufacturer's own update because it will not run on its own. For example, if you have a Dell laptop, in your start menu, you'll have a program pre-installed called Dell Update. That's going to have all of the updates not provided by Windows Update, including BIOS updates. Most people never do these, and it's free performance enhancement and security. All you have to do is click on it and get those free updates. If it's an Alienware, it's called Alienware Update, and if it's a Samsung, it's called Samsung Update. These are separate updates. They are not provided from Windows Update, and the utility will not run on its own. You must run it. This is also true of desktops. If you've got an Acer, a Dell, an HP, look in your start menu. Now, if you have wiped out Windows and reinstalled it clean so you don't have any more of the manufacturer-provided apps, simply go to the manufacturer's support page for your make and model of laptop or desktop, and in the utility section will be the update download. It is profoundly critical. As a computer technician, one of the pieces of advice I tell you that is absolutely critical to the performance and reliability of your machine is to get those free updates from the manufacturer. They do not install on their own. My font doesn't look any bigger here. I gotta fix it. Why don't you fix that while I'm working? Trying to get I want to monitor the chat room on this Galaxy tablet, and there's another Samsung device, but the font's a little too small, so we're going to figure that out. In the meantime, I ran the performance numbers to see what kind of performance you get for $3,000 for this laptop, and it's not great, not great. Let me pull the screen up here, and I'll bring it up to the camera. And these are the numbers I got with Crystal Disk Mark, which, you know, they're not terrible, but they're not great. And the make and model of the internal drive is, of course, a Samsung internal drive. But 1 terabyte's not going to cut it for me. And when you drop 3K on a laptop, cheaping out on the storage is preposterous. Now, I've done a little cheating, and I've looked at some videos on how this opens up. It looks a lot easier to open than this. This made me very nervous because they sort of have to crack open, and it's nerve-wracking. This was a $2,500 laptop, and the replacement was $2,500. So these don't come cheap, and I don't replace them very often. Because this is an 8th gen i7, there were no i9s at the time, this was top of the line. And with 64 gigs and 4 terabytes of storage, it's been rock solid and very useful. In fact, I have very little complaints about this laptop. It's still running really, really good. So I just felt like as I've been editing more and more videos, I need something with a better video card in it. And I would prefer a 13th gen processor, but I don't want to give up my Type A ports for USB, and I don't want to give up my built-in HDMI port. Furthermore, the projector I have is wireless, and this should stream wirelessly to the projector. I may not even need that HDMI cable for its main purpose of functioning as an entertainment device. When I'm not broadcasting, I have this hooked up to a 200-inch projector against a wall and a Bluetooth speaker, and it's a home theater that I can tuck under my arm and take with me. If I can get rid of the HDMI cable running across the floor, all the better. But since I just got this a few hours ago, I haven't had time to test that out. Now, of course, I'm very nervous about opening something that's this expensive and this brand new. So I want to talk to you a little bit about, let me shut it down here. I want to talk to you a little bit about the upgrade process. As you know, I'm a big fan of Acronis trimmage. Unfortunately, neither of my Linux or Windows PE Acronis boot drives will boot off of this. This is a known issue when you have two graphics cards. This has the built-in Intel graphics card and the RTX 4070. And the Acronis engineers really need to get one of these into their R&D, or even a Dell XPS, because they have universally the same problem. It just can't seem to find which video driver to use. So the answer to this, of course, is to install the Acronis software. Now, currently I have one license for Acronis. It's on this machine here. So when I go to install Acronis on this machine, I can install the trial version, which is good for up to 30 days, but it doesn't do cloning. I can just do backups. Well, that doesn't help me. So I uninstalled that. Wasn't ready to move the license over just yet. So then I said, well, I know that Western Digital, in fact, all drive manufacturers except Samsung, allow you to download a version of Acronis specifically for cloning your new drive you just bought. And that's all it does. It's the exact opposite of the trial from Acronis. This only does cloning. Unfortunately, though, the drive would have to be installed in here because it has to qualify. In other words, the Acronis, the version of Western, oh, that's so much better. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, so the version of Acronis, this is what she's made the text bigger for me. The version of Acronis that you get for free with a drive has to see if you've got that manufacturer's drive. So for example, if you have a Western Digital or a Seagate drive you've purchased, or ADATA or Sabrent, just type into Google the manufacturer's name with the word Acronis, and it should be a download link from the manufacturer for Acronis specifically to use for cloning. And of course, there's other cloning tools I could have tried, but I'm not interested in those. So I used my handy dandy trusty TS16 from Sabrent, plugged it in, and it wouldn't see anything with the USB-C cable. So I got a USB-C to A cable. That worked. However, when you use a drive enclosure, the Windows operating system sees the make and model of the enclosure, not the make and model of the drive. This is like a translator. This is translating this interface into a USB interface. So all Windows is seeing is the USB interface and not the internal drive specifications other than its size. This gets a little confusing. So when I run the Acronis free cloning tool from Western Digital, it says you don't have a Western Digital drive. So this only, you got to have a Western Digital drive. So I thought, well, I've got a Western Digital external drive. Let me plug that in. And sure enough, Acronis said, okay, that's fine. That's a Western Digital drive. So then I plugged this in thinking I'd be sneaky, but Acronis does not offer the option to clone to or from this. And of course, this drive was brand new out of the box. It had no partition and no format. Okay, so now what do you do? All right, so then I uninstalled that Acronis and went back to reinstall the original trial of Acronis, only this time I signed in with my Acronis account. And it immediately said you have a license conflict because you own one license and you've got it installed here and now you've installed it here. But here's what's cool, and this surprised me. Acronis said, we'll give you 30 days to sort this license issue out. In other words, you need to deactivate the license on one of these or buy like a 3 PC license, upgrade your license. So I was like, wow, 30 days is very generous to get that all sorted out. So I finished with the Acronis install. And then I said, okay, Acronis, I put this back in my TS16 from the good folks over at Silverstone. Plugged it in with the Type-C to Type-A cable. I said, I want to go to Tools, I want to clone, I want to replace the drive in here with this drive, which doesn't matter who makes it anymore, because I'm not using the free tool from Western Digital, the free version of Acronis from the manufacturer. And then it cloned it. Now, I didn't clone anything until I was done doing all the updates. So what I've spent hours doing is the first thing I did when I got this was I charged it. I plugged it in and charged it until the light on the side turned green or went out, whatever it does. That took about 2 hours. Once it was charged, then I turned it on. And then I went through removing a lot of bloatware on this. This has McAfee, this has Spotify and eBay and Microsoft Office Trial and Office 365. So we're like 2 different offices. It was almost endless. Teams, I take Teams off of there. It's got this darn chat thing that's down here, and you've got to right-click on the taskbar and go to Settings. I couldn't just right-click and unpin it from the taskbar like you can usually with Windows 11 stuff. Uncle Carey's Windows 10 Optimizer, Windows Update, Samsung Update, over 3 big updates, including a BIOS update. Did all of that, back into Windows, back into the updates, back into removing any programs I don't want. I like to have 7-zip on here. I like to have VLC on here. I took off the Mixed Reality portal and the Groove Music and the media player and the movies and TV, all from Microsoft. All that comes off and is replaced by VLC. And I will put a version of Office on here. I can activate Office 2016 using a key from VIP CDK deals for a little over 20 bucks. That does not require a Microsoft account. Again, I don't care if you have a Microsoft account. They're not bad. I just don't use them because a lot of machines I work on go to my customers, and my customers don't need me having signed into my Microsoft account on their machine. So it's a security issue and just common respect and courtesy issue. Therefore, I don't use a Microsoft account, period. So after all that was done, then I put Acronis on, and then I said, now it's time to back it up. Everything is good. It's the way I like it, except for Microsoft Office and some other final little touches. This is a good time to make an image backup. Are you listening to me? Because you don't know, it's a brand new machine. This thing could die anytime. So I went ahead and went through that process I explained with trying to use the rescue USBs, which are not working. Again, I suspect it's because this has 2 video cards. It doesn't know which one to use. You do have to turn Secure Boot off, obviously, or it's the USB rescue flash drives from Acronis aren't going to use Secure Boot. So I disabled that in the BIOS. It didn't make any difference. So turn that back on and just decided to clone from within Windows. Now, I could have also simply opened the laptop up, plugged this into the second M.2 slot, and cloned it internally. However, I wanted to save the actual work for on camera. And this takes a little while to clone. It's only about 60 gigs for a fresh Windows 11 install with all updates. So it only took about 10 minutes, but still didn't want to do that on camera, especially with me having to install and uninstall Acronis 3 times before I figured out what I was going to do, and then unsuccessfully booting to the USB rescue disks multiple times after making BIOS changes. There's our good friend Buster. Peter Laycock joins us. He says, hello, Carey and everyone in the chat. It's 3 o'clock in the morning in Edinburgh, and he contributes 20 pounds. Right on. Thank you, Buster. And Chevy in the chat room with a $10 super chat. Geez, have I missed any others? I have not been paying attention. I hope I got everybody. Thanks, guys. Thank you so much. All right, let me fix that so I won't miss that. And then I've got, oh, and Mike Visions with a £5 contribution. Thank you, Mike. Joshua C says, hello, Carey from Texas. Right on, Joshua. Thanks for joining us. I think we need to get the close-up camera here so when I rip this thing apart, you can see the damage, you know, in full HD. Let's see, I'm going to go to the close-up camera. You fired up?
I'm fired up.
Yeah, come on over. There we go. All right, so again, here's the Dell, and you can see the different screen size there versus the Samsung, which when I open it turns it on, which is also what the Dells do, by the way. And then the other thing, look how thin it is. There's our ports there on the side, a couple of USB-Cs and HDMI. Come around this side. There's our Type A, a micro SD card reader, and a headphone/headset jack there. If we go back about how many years? 5 or 6 years. This machine's pretty close, a little bit taller. But this was the last generation I'm aware of that still gave me my Type Cs, my Type A, my HDMI, a standard barrel power connector. And come around the other side, we have another Type A and a full-size SD card reader. Now the full-size SD card reader makes more sense because you can always get a little adapter to read the micro SDs. You can't do the other way around. So it's a shame Samsung didn't give us the full-size SD reader and just let us use an adapter, but I don't use it very much, and I can always use a Type A USB reader, which I have in this drawer, made by Sony. Where is it? Because I was using this a lot back when I was recording and editing videos. I needed to get the video content off of the camera and into the PC, and all the card readers were painfully slow. And I found this Sony unit. Right here it is. And I just used that. So as you can see, we've got an SD card reader on this side, and you pull the cap off and it's USB. These were expensive. I mean, SD card readers are like $8. This one was like $30. This is also about 3 times faster. So, you know, even though this doesn't have that, if I needed to do it, I have this. But furthermore, I don't copy files off the cameras anymore. I record them onto the streamer and then copy them over to the NAS, and then from the NAS they can go to the editors. So this was an editor right here. This is the machine I took with me to the Acronis show that was in October of 2019 or 2019. I took that to Miami. I've taken this a couple of places. This enabled me to video capture my interviews and edit and upload in the hotel. That's why I got it. This has editing power. So the Samsung now is finally replacing that. Like I said, this Dell still works. If I turn it that way, you can see the logos. The Dell still works. It's just getting a little long in the tooth, and it's time to upgrade and time for a business deduction, I think. It's a good business expense to have and keeps me on top of my game. So we're done with this one. Like I said, that was upgraded a while back, 64 gigs of RAM and 4 terabytes. I believe that's a Sabrent 4 terabyte drive. I put in that years ago. It's never, ever had a problem. Now to open this up, this looks pretty straightforward. These little rubber feet are gonna pop out, and I think I have something for that over here. Let's see. I have a little cheap kit I bought off Amazon a while back. And in here, we have a bunch of little plastic tools. And I suspect we just need to get under that. And I don't think there's any tape holding this in place. From what I saw on other YouTube videos, it looks like they just pop into a hole. Yeah. Isn't that interesting? Oh, there is a little slot right here. Huh. Which way was that facing? Was that facing towards me? Because I want to put them back in the same way. Let me take this one off a little more carefully. See if I can see which way that piece is facing. Yes, yeah, so that little cutout right there is going to go towards the back of the machine, and it doesn't exist anywhere else. All right. And it's, oh, these don't have the cutout at all. So there's a difference between the rear feet and the front feet, and I can kind of see that the case is a little taller and it kind of gets narrower, but here it's completely flat. So these feet, you notice how I'm putting them down on the desk? I'm putting them down in the same orientation they came out, just in case they have to go back. But there's definitely a height difference between those feet. So, well, you could probably swap left to right. You cannot swap front to back. So with the back of the laptop facing me, I'm going to put those back in the order that I just took them out. These are the front. These go by the hinges, and these go to the front, exactly as I've taken them out. So that's my methodology of madness there. Now, when it comes to removing, we've got 4 screws. That looks pretty straightforward. 4 screws. Should be able to just use this driver right here. No, that driver is too big. How about this driver right here? Too big. All right, well, it turns out I might need this. This is the iFixit Pro Tech Toolkit, which I should put a link to. Look, the tape is still sealed. I've never opened this. Oh my gosh, and look how dusty it is. I have never ever opened this. I can't believe that. I bought it because you never know when a customer is gonna reach out to you with a repair on a laptop. And I always like to be prepared, and I really like these toolkits from iFixit. Oh, look at this. Oh. Oh. What the heck? Oh, it's got the little spudgers in there. It's got metal spudgers and tweezers, and oh, look at this. Precision. Precision. See, when you, instead of holding it open, I mean, instead of it, you have to hold it closed. This is the opposite. This puts pressure on things. You just let it go and it grabs onto it. Pretty cool. And then, oh, we got a bunch of little picks here. Look at that. That's fantastic. These are great for cracking open, especially a laptop or a tablet or a phone where you don't want to damage the plastic, which I definitely don't want to do on this brand new laptop. Oh, we got silicate gel. Crunchy. Let's see, we've got an extension. We don't need that. This is like billet aluminum. It's fantastic the way they make their handles. And I don't know, which driver do you think we should use? This one? This one looks pretty good. Let's see if it fits. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a winner. And it's magnetized. All right. So once again, I'm going to just put the screws in the same order I've taken them out, just in case there's any length difference between the front and the back. That's just me being extra cautious because it's an expensive laptop and all the screws have to go back. So what difference does it make if I scatter them in a jar or I set them in the order they came out? Now, one of the things I'm noticing right out of the gate, I don't see any Loctite on the screws in the back. See the blue on those screws? That's Loctite. I don't see Loctite coming off of the ones in the back. I don't know why that is. Oh, there is a little bit of Loctite there. Okay, so they all appear to be the same. There doesn't seem to be any reason why they need to go back in a specific order, but it doesn't hurt either. So better safe than sorry. Okay, now here's where things get fun. With the 4 screws out, we have to crack this back off. This really is unnerving. But I think we have the perfect tool for the job with these little picks. And I should only need one of them here. And I just need to find, and by the way, if you have an old credit card, you could use that. But you don't want to use anything metal on this. And I'm just trying to find where this thing has a split that we can use. It looked a lot easier on YouTube. Okay, this is where it gets nerve-wracking for me. What we're doing is we're looking for the seam. So there is a seam running right across here. And it's basically snapped together like those old model kits. You know, when you could build a snap together model car and stuff like that, it's kind of like that. And we also have this tool here, which has a sharper edge, and they give you multiples of these because these edges will dull. And they're intended to be disposable. And at least they use both sides. I give them credit for that. You see what I'm trying to do? I'm trying to get into that seam, and it's difficult having it away from me like that. I'm trying to do it so you guys can see it. Scott Hallinan with $12 in New Zealand money, in Kiwi money. He says, here's to the greatest tech on the planet for us to learn from. It's greatly appreciated. Buy yourself a Coke or a snack to keep you going from this donation. Right on, thank you. Joshua C. says, I always get nervous when I'm opening newer laptops. I'm glad to see I'm not the only one. Yes, well, if I worked on these all the time, it wouldn't be a big deal, right? It's just my lack of familiarity. Barry Klein says, are you going to upgrade the thermal compound? Were you working on that computer? Absolutely not. This also has vapor chamber cooling in it, which even better. Let's see, what else do I have? Jason Wyrick says, towards the hinge of the side. What? What does it say? Sometimes, if you look closely, they give you a little slot, but I'm not seeing that here. It's so hard to see. It does look like the back of it, I can almost pull it apart with my fingers. So maybe you need to come in from the back. See how that's bowing? Oof, it does not look like it wants to come off. Not at all. I don't want to put that much pressure on it. I almost feel like it wants to open up this way and for the back to come off last. That's what it feels like. Now, I suspect the people at Samsung have a tool that locks in here that probably assists them with lifting this off. How much you want to bet there's a tool specifically that goes in there? Kala Radio says you can use playing cards as you open the seam. Yeah, a deck of cards could hold it open, but I also have plenty of these, and I can go this way as well. These go in here without a problem. So the issue is something is, oof. Can you focus in right here? I'm getting a little bit of something, getting a little action here. But it's so tight, all it's doing is bending the heck out of these. It is massively tight. And so one of the problems, of course, is when you're using these plastic tools, they have a lot of give, so they don't mar anything. But that also means that it makes it difficult. Here we go. It makes it difficult to not, what you want to do, what I want to do is grab a metal spudger, because I know the strength of the metal is stronger than the plastic. However, I don't want to gouge into the plastic, even though no one's going to see it but me. And then we just need to sort of go around and listen. It's almost like knuckles popping. It's not bones breaking, right? You know the difference between that sound, don't you? See, now that bothers me. There's something right there that does not want to come up. There it is. And so here's the problem. As I'm pushing on this, and I want you to see this, what I'm being very aware of is I don't want to damage this hinge right here running across the back. So I'm putting all this leverage, and you see that whole piece is bowing. And that does make me a little nervous. There's something right there. There it is. You can feel where the clips are. But I do feel like typically when they're in that strong, that's usually a tell that it wants to come off from the opposite side. Usually. But having never been in this before, I'm not real confident on that. Now you can pull up. See, now the front's coming up way easier. Now, the problem is if you bow this as you're pulling it up, and you think, oh, I'm going to get through those plastic clips, it's a good way to break the plastic clips. So there's a certain amount of pressure where I start to get nervous when I say, okay, let me get the tool to help me, because something's holding on really tightly. And I should have put a little towel down or something, because I'm hearing grit on the surface of this workstation rubbing against the top of my brand new laptop. There we go. Now I'm hoping, yeah, see how the back popped right off? So you definitely don't want to take this off from the back first. And it looks like everything's intact here. I don't think I've heard anything, but it is brand new plastic. As this plastic ages, it gets brittle. I may not be so lucky. So I hope to do this just once. Now, looking at the inside of this brand new Ultrabook 3 from Samsung, let's see what we can see. We have our cooling fans that are blacked out for some reason. It's all stealthy. This is our battery, and look, we can disconnect this battery. There's a couple of screws that hold the battery in, and then this connector. So this is a replaceable battery. I see a screw here, 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 and then it looks like you have to remove this piece to remove the connector, but then at least you can buy a battery for it. I think these are our speakers here and here. What else do I identify? There's our M.2 drive. Carey, I thought you said this had a space for a second M.2 drive. Right here it is. There's the little post. No, that's the... Where does the M.2 drive screw down at? This is our Wi-Fi adapter. That's soldered down. And our RAM is soldered down somewhere in here. These little ribbon tools are probably for the trackpad and keyboard, I'm going to guess. And then underneath all this will be our CPU and our GPU. How would you put a second M.2 in there? Let me see. It looks like it would go here. Oh, I guess it would go here. Like that. And there is a screw there. All right, thank goodness. So that's if we wanted to put a second M.2 in addition to the main one. That screw right there, we would take that out and that would hold the drive in place. But I'm going to replace this drive because 1 terabyte, are you kidding me? What am I going to do with 1 terabyte? Don't you know who I am? What was the guy's name in The Princess Bride? I'm the something Pirate Roberts. What was his title? Come on, chat room, you guys got this. All right, here we go. I'm going to take this out. Same screw, by the way, which is good and consistent. Same screwdriver. Thank you. iFixit Toolkit, magnetized, as it should be. The Dread Pirate. I'm the Dread Pirate Carey. Thank you, Gary. Gary Tatum and Buns of Wisdom got it. All right, let's see. You coming out. You gots to go. It's eviction day. Samsung SSD. Good thing they print it on the bottom where no one can see it. And now, Western Digital's going in there. This is a Gen 4, 4 terabyte. Make sure that cable's not in the way. I feel like that screw's not going in straight. That feels better. And this cable can get, I don't know why that sticks up like that. I don't want to pinch that cable with the drive though, because the vibration of moving the laptop around and the fans running could eventually eat through the insulation on that. Now, before I go through the trouble of putting the back on, I should just turn this on and see if it works, because if we have any problems, this is the time to correct it. Now, while I've got it open, I could also throw another 4 terabyte drive in here if I was mad. And I do have another 4 terabyte drive. But here's the thing. Let me walk out for a second. I got to walk over to my my parts counter. Let's see, that's a 2, that's a 2, that's a 2. Oh, there's a 4. This is not a fast 4 terabyte drive by comparison. I bought this because it was a little over $200, and it's made by the folks at Team Group, and it's an MP34 M.2 4 terabyte drive. It was just such a good price. I don't know, what do the numbers say? Does it have any read and write numbers on it? So there's a part of me that says, you know, I should go ahead and pop this in now, but you know what? The more I think about it, I don't want to do that. Now pay attention to your Uncle Carey. Bring that camera up here. Listen, the more stuff you put on your laptop, the more stuff you potentially lose. The reason I want 4 terabytes on this laptop is primarily for scratch areas for YouTube videos. I don't generally work on one video at a time. And if I'm going to process the videos in post-production, I might as well process them at 4K. So they're going to be 4 times larger. They're going to take 4 times longer to upload. When I'm live, of course, I'm live in 1080. But it's easy to upscale these in 4K. You guys will never notice a difference. Most of you won't, because I'm not doing anything where it's going to really be noticeable whether I'm at 4K or 1080. So why not run them at 4K? Anyway, it takes up a lot of drive space. But what I don't want to do is, if I have another drive here, I'm tempted to use it and start storing things on it. And that's not being backed up. In fact, once I make my initial Acronis true image of my computer, I don't back it up probably for years. I take all of my files that I'm working on and I copy them to my network attached storage, or I copy them up to the cloud where I have them. So obviously I'm not going to copy massive raw video files up to the cloud. It takes too long and it takes too much space. So that's why I want a fast drive. But this drive, you know, this drive's way, way faster than my network can transfer the data. So, you know, internal copying, you still got to get the data on here somehow. So making a big deal about the drive speed is really kind of silly. But I figure I want this to last me another 5 or 6 years, as my Dell has. So I want to make sure that I don't have to open it up ever again. In the same way, I've only opened the Dell once. I've only upgraded it one time, and it's my intent to follow that process with every new laptop I get. These laptop companies, you know, these laptop manufacturers like Dell, HP, Samsung, they want to charge an arm and a leg for every little upgrade that you could easily do yourself. So in some laptops where things are not upgradable or not easy to get to, it might be worth paying for the bigger drive. In the case of the Samsung, it wasn't even offered at any price. In the case of the Dell, it is, but it's way more money than if you just bought a drive and did it yourself, and you'd probably get a faster drive. I mentioned that I thought the Seagate FireCuda 530 I've got in Office Studio A on the Office PC, thought it was overheating. Well, it turns out there was a firmware update, 2 new firmware versions. So I got the latest version, but I had to search for it. I'm spoiled with Samsung because the Samsung Magician software just tells me when there's a new firmware update. So I'm looking at the temperature of the drive. The temperature of the drive says it's at 31 degrees Celsius. It's not anywhere close to hot. So I don't know what the problem is, but it's not the drive. I went ahead and updated the firmware, which was really confusing because people in Reddit were given all these DOS commands. And anyway, all you have to do is load the CTools software and then download the firmware and then point the firmware in the CTools software, and then it updates. It doesn't even need a reboot, which doesn't make any sense to me. And it doesn't seem to have made any difference whatsoever. So I am spoiled with Samsung drives. You know, if there's an update to your firmware on your drive and it's not a Samsung, good luck finding it. You have to go look for it. I guess ignorance is bliss. Let's turn this around and open the lid. And when I open the lid, it should just fire right up. And if I've cloned it correctly, it should boot right back into Windows. Is it booting? I can't see anything. No? Does it have something that detects if the back is removed?
That's my assumption.
It might.
Oh, it's booting.
Oh, is it booting? Okay. Just impatient. Now, if I did this right, it should just, with secure boot enabled, nothing's changed in the BIOS, everything's been put back. Using Acronis installed on the machine to make the clone. Should just boot into Windows and give us all the same programs, activations, wallpaper, icons, everything should be exactly the same. Acronis automatically resizes the partitions for us, so we don't have to, like other cloning software, you have to do that either after the fact or during the setup, which makes the setup far more complicated. Let's go to the computer icon up here. And let's go over here, right click, which side is my right side, and go to Property. What's that say? Get the camera up close. I can't see anything there. Closer? Closer? I think we're good. 3.49 terabytes free. People get thrown off by the terabytes number there. If you look at the big number below, that's the real number down there. People are like, how is that 4 terabytes? It's gigabytes versus gigabytes. What's his face has a great video explaining that. Let me think. What's his name? Oh man, how embarrassing. Guy makes great videos too, and I can't think of his name. You know what? I'll add it to the video notes after the show. It's going to come to me as soon as I end the show. But anyway, let's run Crystal Disk Mark once again and see what the difference is. This is not a touch screen. That's the other thing I didn't want. I don't like touch screens, and it's not a tablet. This is very difficult. I don't know if you can tell how I'm doing this, but I'm working from the back side of the laptop. Let me just take this for a second. Plugging it in, to the HDMI. Mm-hmm. This is more interesting. I'm going to just go over here to, these are our old numbers. Once again, let me go back to the screenshot I took of the numbers of the drive that was in it.
The screen is very reflective.
That's okay, it's fine. And then I'm going to go over here and I'm going to run Crystal Disk Mark on this, which should be in my downloads directory. Crystal Disk Mark, let's see, we'll go over here to downloads. You can download Crystal Disk Mark for free. I always download the portable, or what they call the XP zip version. That's the portable version. And Crystal Disk Mark portable, 64-bit. Look at me go without my glasses. without my glasses. Let me close that window. All right, we'll bring this back around. Let's see how much faster this Western Digital drive is. Here we go. Place your bets, ladies and gentlemen. What sort of drive speed do you think we're going to hit? Are we going to see 7,000 on the reads? I hope so. Let's see 7,000. Oh, come on. You can go faster than that. $65.19. It's actually a little slower than the drive that was in it. Well, hopefully the writes will be faster. Anyway, it turns out the drive they put in there is not so slow, but that 1 terabyte capacity is not going to do me. And while this is running, I can look up that guy on YouTube whose name is eluding me at the moment. By the way, if you like videos coming from a retired Microsoft software engineer, check out Dave's Garage. I know it sounds like a car channel, but he's the guy that, created the blue screen and a lot of the file formats and stuff. And in the meantime, let's find this guy's channel. How am I going to find it? Why does hard drive size change? It's actually not changing. What's this guy's name? As soon as I say his name, most of you are going to know exactly who it is. He does very good videos. ThioJoe. ThioJoe has a fantastic channel. And ThioJoe, ThioJoe, does a great job explaining the math and processes involved in determining why the manufacturers have a different capacity than when you format it and what it says, when in fact it's still the same exact capacity. ThioJoe, I can't believe I forgot his name. And then, of course, Dave's Garage. If you're interested from a retired Microsoft Windows software engineer on why things are the way they are, including Windows activation explained, he's not selling anything. He's retired, and he just enjoys sharing his passion of computers. Of course, he's based out of Washington. What a shock. But he does some pretty fascinating videos, information I'm sure Microsoft would like to keep quiet. Look at that, our reads and writes are nearly identical. That's very uncommon. What were the writes on this before? They weren't that good. That's significantly better. As soon as this test is done, I'll go ahead and shut it back down. We can put the cover back on. Now, putting the cover back on is super easy. You just snap it back into place by pushing down. And then just make sure all the sides are down evenly. Put the screws back in, put the feet back on top. Thankfully, the feet are not attached by sticky tape, so they should just lock right back in. And we're done, and I should never, ever, 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 ever have to open this laptop again, because it makes me nervous. I don't like doing it. Wow. Yeah, those are some impressive numbers. So the reason I had that drive is they ran them on sale. They being Amazon, ran them at like $350. And anytime you can get a terabyte under $100, which isn't too rare today with Gen 3, but with Gen 4 or certainly with Gen 5, that's getting more and more difficult. And as I mentioned, the performance difference between a Gen 3, Gen 4, and Gen 5 is likely not even going to be noticeable to most people. Oh, I found something really cool. I was squirreling around on the internet last night, and there is a remake of Wing Commander 4 that's a community-driven project. Now, I don't know if you ever played Wing Commander, but it has Malcolm McDowell and Mark Hamill. It has Tom Wilson, you know, Biff from Back to the Future. It's all these wonderful actors from 80s movies. And Chris Roberts was the guy who designed Wing Commander, and then of course Wing Commander 1, 2, 3. And then they digitized all the video. Well, now all the video is back into like HD format. And and you can download it for free if the computer's going to catch up. Let's see. Let me see if I can grab this window. Properties, Chrome. So Wing Commander is what got me started on the IBM compatible computer. That was sort of the killer app for me, I guess you could say. Wing Commander for the Price of Freedom Remastered. And if we play it through, we should see some of the video footage. Even the fight scenes look so much better. Where's the actors? There they are. There's Tom Wilson, and Malcolm McDowell was there. Mark Hamill. And the video, if you compare this to the actual video that they did back when they made this game, this is like incredible. And it's at, what is it, WC Create or something like that is the website, and you can download the game for free. And most PCs have plenty of graphics power to play this game. Not so much back in the day. This was a DOS-based game. And they even, just watching the cutscenes from it make a full movie. You don't even have to play the game. You can just watch the cutscenes. Let's see, Wing Commander 4 I misspelled, but that's okay. Remastered, old versus new. Yeah, so this is pretty interesting when you see what the video looked like. And we were happy to have this, by the way. They have the video of the actors. Well, here's the website if you want to check it out. WC, what did it say? Respace? WC Respace. There it is. And you can just download it and play it. How cool is that? It's free. It's not done yet, but you know, catch to everything, isn't there? It's a community project. They all have jobs and families, and they work on it in their spare time out of the passion for their the enjoyment of the game. How's this? Is this done?
Yes.
Scroll down again. Let me see it. See what our final numbers are. That'll give us something to compare it to. I'm not going to screenshot this. I'll shut this down first. In fact, all I have to do is close the lid, and then we'll give that a second to power off, and then I can put the back on it. So remember, I was working with the hinge facing me. I want to keep all my orientation the same. And this piece should just go on and push. I want to put the back on first, I think. Is that possible? I think this is the back. See the holes for the cutout, and you see this cutout here? That's going to go make a room for this hinge that moves up and down. So where it curves down is the front, and where it's cut here is the back. So put that in. And again, I really should be setting a towel down to do this. But you absolutely want to snap it in before you put the screws in. Pretty much have to go along about every inch. Nothing like a snap together $3,000 tool, huh? That inspires confidence, doesn't it? Okay. I feel like that's, oh. You gotta look for bowing to see if you've missed anything. Now, after you put the screws in, if you miss a spot, you just need to push it down. It's not like you have to take it back apart or anything. You don't have to take the screws out. Just trying to avoid having to push down any more. One. And you don't want to over tighten these screws. Two. Three. And there's 4. And then feet with that little cutout facing towards me. Goes towards the front. Same with the other side. So the cutout faces towards me, which is towards the hinge. Then these last 2 feet are a little different, but they just push right on. If you look, there's 3 notches on the bottom of the foot, and there's 3 cutouts. So that means that these feet, you can't just put them on in any direction. They won't sit down. So they have to go in exactly in the proper orientation, or you're going to struggle with it and get frustrated. And that's it. It's all done. Now, I'll open this back up. And 4 terabytes of storage, and this thing can start getting to work. I'll put my tools away while we're waiting for that to boot up. And then I can screenshot that as a before and after. That goes there. This tool can go back. And my picks can go back. I must have forgot I bought this. I'll tell you, this toolkit has a suction cup tool right here for helping to remove back panels. And then it's got these spudgers, and it's got an anti-static wrist strap, which of course I would never use, but I work in an anti-static environment, and I handle parts by their edges only, so it doesn't really benefit me to have an anti-static strap given how I work. That's pretty nice though, I gotta say. And you know what? Just because I'm OCD, we'll just put everything right back how it was. That'll go in there. Apart from the dust, like brand new again. And then this little tool here, this is just a cheap little kit I bought off Amazon for like 10 bucks. It's pretty cheap, but if that's all you need, you know, to get the job done. Get this out of the way. And we'll get that toolbox, that toolkit out of the way. Okay, so with that done, does anybody have any questions for me? Take a quick look over here in the chat and see what you guys are talking about. Josh Kinder says he turned 30 years old today. Happy birthday to Josh Kinder.
25%.
You're at 25% battery? All right, we'll run that battery out. You know what? We can go back to camera one. We're done with the close-ups. Thank you, camera girl.
You're welcome.
All right, and let's turn camera one on. You're good. Thank you. All right, so let me look back in the chat. Gary Tatum says he spent many an hour killing the Kilrathi. That's right, Wing Commander. Patrick Rusaw says, ThioJoe, some videos are funny and fake when it comes to speeding up Wi-Fi with a Tupperware bowl and tinfoil. Watch the date on those videos too, because if it's April 1st, that'll be your first clue. ThioJoe used to be a huge troll. Well, there's a key word there, used to. I can't speak for all of his content. I've not watched all of it, but what he did lately that I've seen, I've been very impressed with. Yeah, and then like I said, Dave's Garage, if we go over to, let me go back over to my YouTube channel thing here, screen capture. And let's see, go up here. I'll turn my window capture back on. And we'll just, right here, we'll type in Dave's Garage. There he is. Highly recommended. Highly recommended. We can look at his videos. You'll see he's got some great content here. Not a fan of this. Not a fan of every video he makes. This world's smallest PC is interesting if you're into being a developer, but not very useful to an average person. But he gets into boy, I'm not interested in any of this. Here's the computer that built Microsoft. I heard there's a Windows 11 with 30 hard drives in a software RAID. Let's see. More about coding, stupid Windows tricks, the dark history of zip files, Windows and Linux, where the term reboot came from, why do computers get slow. So when you get into his stuff that's a bit older, like from last year when he's just really getting that off his chest about all the stuff he did at Microsoft, me personally, I find that the best stuff. Oh, I remember Sony's rootkit scandal back in the day when it was on the CDs, the installation CDs. Apparently he has autism, so he's talking about a lot of things that he deals with that are important to him, which is, you know, what he should be talking about. Stays in his lane. But anyway, just a lot of information here. Retired Microsoft engineer with 100 questions, 99 answers. Fantastic stuff. The other thing I've been watching a lot of is AFK. This guy didn't know anything about 3D modeling, and within 3 months is making these amazing and hilarious 3D videos using the Unreal Engine. And he does some Star Wars videos that are absolutely brilliant. This one on the Tantive 4, and this is season 2, If you watch the original Star Wars, all the events that take place here look like they could have happened, but the camera cuts away. But he gets every detail. If you're somebody like me that enjoys detail, he gets those details down. And the animation quality is, and the voice acting is fantastic. So I strongly recommend, if you're in a bit of humor and you like Star Wars, be sure to watch season 1 and season 2. Season 2 is still being recorded. And he even shows you while he's making these videos how he's doing it. He'll have live streams where he's working on the latest episode, and he's in the software, and he is, you know, showing you, whoops, didn't mean to click that. He's showing you what he's doing to make all this happen, including, you know, he's got people he's getting the 3D models from. So it's not like he has to draw any of this. He has these objects he places and decides what camera angle he wants and what lighting he wants and how he wants the head to move or the body to move. And he's going through and he's explaining it all. And he quit his job in 2023 to do this full time and see if he can earn a living doing this. So support the guy. He's only got 143,000 subscribers, and the quality and the hilarity. And if Star Wars isn't your thing, he's got a whole thing of trolls. He's got the season called AFK, and then he's got one. Where are the trolls? They're in here somewhere. Anyway, good stuff. Good stuff. Like supporting the little guy here, especially when he's putting so much time and effort into his work. It really shows. It's so well done. You can just imagine if he had a budget, a bigger budget, what he could do. The talkie orcs, that's the one. Yeah, the talkie orcs are pretty funny. So I just wanted to share, those are a couple of things I've been watching lately that I'm enjoying, and maybe you'll enjoy them too for something a little different. And back over to the chat, we'll just wrap things up here. And Kelly Stewart says, Carey, what are you using the large monitor on the stand? This, Kelly, this is not a monitor. This is a Samsung Galaxy tablet, and I'm able to look at the chat room and monitor the feed, while at the same time I can keep OBS on that screen over there so I can make sure everything's in frame. This monitor arm, or this tablet arm, it's actually designed for a cell phone or a tablet up to 13 inches, and at 12.4 inches, the Galaxy Tab A at a 13-inch tablet seemed like it'd be a pretty good option for me. And I happened to get an alert from Slick Deals that this thing was on sale for $15. Normally it was like $30 for this arm. And then there was a coupon code to take another $6 or $7 off, so it was like $9 with free shipping. And I thought, you know, I'll get this arm and I'll try it. And yeah, it's very, very promising, but it's fully operating on battery, its own Wi-Fi connection. It's a little wobbly to try and type on it, you know, to push on it. However, I can address comments here live on video using my voice. I don't need to type on it. Mark Gaines contributes £2. He says, top of the morning to you, Carey. Cheers, Mark. Welcome in. Thank you for the contribution. Old Man 55 says, is that a new toy to play with? Well, I suppose. I mean, when you enjoy what you do, then you don't really ever work, right? So you could say this is a toy, but I'm going to be using this for video content. And the 11th gen that I don't use because of it only has the USB-C ports without adding USB-C breakout boxes to it. And Camera Girl's using that to make the amazing thumbnails you've been seeing on my videos lately. So that's all thanks to her. She was using an Alienware laptop that I had, and it's not good. And if you like the RGB and stuff like that, but compared to the Dell XPS for a content creator, that 11th gen is quick. It just doesn't have the ports I need. So, and again, my Dell XPS here, the one's a 9570 and one's a, I can't remember, but I upgraded that as well to 64 gigs and 4 terabytes, and I made the video here That was over a year ago. And I skipped over the 12th channel altogether because it's not a big enough upgrade to make it worthwhile. I had some issues with Chrome running really slow on here. And I ended up just resetting Chrome. I think there were like 10,000 tracking cookies. It just builds up over time. So if you're going in Chrome and you're clearing your history, but you don't clear your cookies because you don't want to have to log in again, then you could have, you know, geez, I logged into a customer site last night. Since I cleared them on mine, I thought I better check my clients. And they had 18,000 tracking cookies I cleared out. And I was sure I was going to hear from them today when they're going to have to sign into all their websites, but they're not signing into 18,000 websites. So that should be done, you know, like once a year. But Chrome was really starting to act funky. I was getting websites that were not loading properly unless I hit the refresh button. I'm talking eBay and Amazon, even YouTube, where all the text was like aligned on the left and just red X's where the picture should go. And I'm checking my Wi-Fi connection. I'm like, what's going on here? And then I, you know, cleared the browsing history. None of that fixed it. It wasn't until I cleared the tracking cookies. Now, another way you can do this, and I'm not a big fan of CCleaner these days, but if you just run the default, like the portable version of CCleaner, and don't run the registry cleaner, just let it do its auto cleaning, then it'll tell you how many tracking cookies it finds, and just click next and let it clean them, and then shut it down. Like, don't use it for anything else. The wipe free space tool is good for secure erasing empty space. So for example, if you had a flash drive and you had sensitive data on it, and before you hand it to somebody else, you want to overwrite that, you can use the wipe info tool from CCleaner. That's another good utility on CCleaner. But I'd avoid the registry cleaning because it's likely only going to cause you problems. And I would avoid doing any of the other advanced tools if you want to use it. But you could also just do this right in Chrome. You don't have to use CCleaner for that. I don't know that Chrome will tell you how many it's clearing. CCleaner will tell you how many thousands of tracking cookies are on all of your browsers, not just Chrome. So it's not a completely useless tool, but again, you can accomplish the same thing without it. And I always use the portable. I don't install it. Mark Gain says, perfect timing, Carey. My brother got one of these Samsung laptops and he wants me to upgrade it. Well, it's really easy to upgrade. I was surprised there wasn't much in the way of teardown videos on this. Somebody had a YouTube short where there's just like music playing and they're not discussing anything. And then the other one that comes up is a guy speaking. Oh, that's as high up as that goes. He's speaking in, I think, is it Hindu? And I watched it because I could understand the gist, right? I'm really paying attention to what he's doing with his hands. His words were just noise to me. Every once in a while I'd catch a word, but that was the closest thing I got to finding a teardown on this. So hopefully my video will help others out because it's a brand new model. It just came out, and Samsung, I think, has done a great job. I'll tell you another, speaking of this, if you want to see some fascinating teardowns, Jerry Rig Everything is another great YouTube channel. Let me bring that up and I'll probably end the broadcast here on this recommendation. I'll have to add the channels to the video notes after we're done here tonight, but let me turn off camera 1 and let's go to Jerry Rig. That's probably everything. That's what I need. This guy right here, Jerry Rig Everything. This guy is super smart and super brave. And he'll, you know, whether it's a $120,000 car or this crazy charging tablet thing that Tesla sells for like $300, like lets you put like 3 or 4 items across it and it charges them all at the same time.
Or the S23 Ultra, which he made humorous.
Well, yeah, he has the Samsung Galaxy 23 Ultra. There's the S20 Ultra. There's the Flip. But here's the thing. He gets it brand new and he completely takes it apart. He completely disassembles it. It shows you what everything is and how it goes together. And explains the ribbon cables and explains how it all functions, and then puts it all back together and shows you it still works. He shows you how difficult it is to scratch the glass using sharp implements. These are brand new right out of the box. He's just bravely torture testing them so you don't have to. And what's great is when he disassembles something, he'll often get a picture of it. So like, here's the S23 Ultra, and he completely opens it up. And while he's got it apart, he gets a picture of it and then sells the picture as a sticker that's real life, actual size, that you can stick on the back of your cell phone, so it appears that you're looking right through it. So he's making money that way. But yeah, see, he's got the sticker, and he sells the case with the sticker. You can put the sticker on it as well. And it's exactly what it looks like underneath the cover. What a brilliant idea. And if we scroll down here into his notes, yeah, dbrand.com/teardown has all of the stickers you can buy for different makes and models of phones that he's done, as well as protectors. So you can get the case or just the skin. They're not cheap. I mean, the skin is like 25 bucks, I think. Yeah. And then the case is 50 bucks, but I think it includes the skin. Not sure the version between Ultimate Teardown and Teardown, other than the brightness seems a little different. Hey, it's a neat way to make a buck. It's an honest living. And he covers wireless home security cameras. And yeah, he takes brand new equipment and just rips it apart very carefully, explaining what everything is, what it's doing, where it goes. And then he puts it all back together again, and it works. So, tearing it apart is one thing. Putting it back together, hey, that's a skill. So, Jerry Rig Everything, ThioJoe, and Dave's Garage. Those are my 3 channel recommendations for this week. Be sure and tune in tomorrow. I have a mini PC from the folks at B-Link. I actually have 3 of them to do. I think I'll start with the top of the line one they sent. And we'll do a mini PC review with the B-Link, what's the model? Hold on, I have to go get it because I can't remember what it is. This is the AMD Ryzen 680, it's a Radeon 680M. It's called the SER Pro. And this has an AMD Ryzen 7 7735HS processor, 32 gigs of RAM installed, 500 gigs storage SSD, NVMe SSD, Wi-Fi 6, 2.5 gig LAN. All fits in this box. Isn't that insane? Now these aren't cheap. You're going to spend somewhere around $600 for these, but you've got a machine that's going to last you, again, you're looking at an 8-year lifespan on these. Windows 11 Pro is already on it, and we'll take a look at that in detail tomorrow, 1 o'clock Pacific time, as always. And then next week, I'll look at the other 2 models I've got, which are nowhere near as powerful, but a third of the price or thereabouts. So I've got sort of a lower tier and then a tier lower than that. So we'll start at the top and see what they've got. And they've got a brand new model coming out that they're going to be sending to me that's supposed to be even better than this one, which I think is even going to be a little bit more money, but you get what you pay for in this stuff. And as for this, well, I have a nice spare Gen 4 SSD I'll put on my part shelf. This is an empty box, so that'll go over there. My trusty TS16 from Silverstone has once again proved it's worth its weight in salt. It's worth more than that. How many of you out there in the chat have a TS16? I know we gave about 5 or 6 of these away. I have 2 myself. That's how much I love that tool. Chris Johnson says, great stream today. I'm looking forward to seeing you tomorrow. Well, right on. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow as well. Richard Palmentier says, have a good night. See you tomorrow. Look forward to the show. Right on. Jeff H says he's got a TS16. Joshua C says he doesn't have one, but he's going to get one. Patrick Grusaw says he's got a TS16. I'm telling you, as a tech, this thing's so fantastic. Cannot say enough good stuff about it. Mark Gaines says he hasn't got his TS16 yet, but it's on the way. Mark Leibowitz says, I literally just sold one of those to a client 2 days ago. One of these? Joshua says, I like Jerry Rig Everything's approach to building wheelchairs. Yeah, I guess his daughter or something's in a wheelchair, and he's got something called Not a Wheelchair. Anyway, I don't know how he makes all his money, but he seems to have a lot of it. And he's not afraid of technology. He just rips things apart very boldly and confidently. Yeah, even when he's using his razor blade to crack open stuff, he'll cut towards himself. And I've never seen him cut himself, but I think, ooh, it makes me really nervous. But he's got a great sense of humor. Buns of Wisdom said, I always wanted to make a 3D model sculpt of Carey. It's just a lump. Just go for the Jabba the Hutt look. Rick Lake says his mini PC is running fine. That's awesome. Rick Lake's got a giveaway mini PC from the channel. And deserves it. Rick's been a very frequent contributor and frequent member here for years. Mark Leibowitz said the girl in the wheelchair is his wife, not his daughter. Ah, see, that's the classic mistake, isn't it? She looks so young. Of course, he looks young too, so. But I appreciate the correction. Okay, well, that's going to wrap it up for me for today. Thanks, you guys, for hanging out with me as I put together what will be my daily driver for the next couple of years, in case you're wondering. This machine will go into a back room that I have here at Studio B that I'll use for testing things. Like when I'm testing flash drives, I want to write data to every bit of capacity of the flash drive, and then read it all back to make sure that none of it's corrupted and the true capacity is exactly what it says it is. And those tests take hours to run. And then that way I get a total write time, I get a total amount of bytes written, and then the total amount of data read back and any errors. This is particularly useful when you're dealing with scammers that are selling fake flash drives and memory cards. It's a great way to test those as well. And any sort of external solid state USB based drive is a great way to test them. These tests take hours, and if I was doing the tests here on the bench, and while the tests are running, I can't make any videos because just look at how much stuff is on my bench right now. I have this upgrade to do. I've got the XLR cables that came in for my new Volt 276. I'm going to move the microphones away from the preamp on camera 2 and onto a proper preamp. And that means also moving the microphone receivers into something more, something that doesn't run off batteries. And then I realized after I got this stuff, I didn't have the cables because I'm not using cables like that going into the cameras. So I had to order the cables. This came in today. And then I have another one of these units for Sennheiser G3. I had to get it off eBay because they haven't made those in years. But at least I'll be able to tell mic 1 from mic 2 because mic 1 will be the G4, where this is the receiver. Mic 2 will be the G3 as it has been, and the receiver is a completely different color. And then those are going to plug in to the front here on mic 1 and mic 2, and then that's going to plug in via USB to that, and then camera 2 will no longer need to have the mic receivers on it unless I am on the road. Like for example, I'm getting a lot of emails from manufacturers asking me if I'm going to Computex. They're sending me invites to meet. I'm not going to Computex. I've never been to Computex. I'm flying to Singapore to go to a trade show. I've never done that. I mean, if somebody wanted to foot the bill, I'd consider it. So while I appreciate the invites, I'm not going. But if I was going to go, having the microphones like this being portable with the batteries would be essential. But here in Studio B, it doesn't make any sense. It's enough that I've got to take care of batteries. I got to take care of twice as many batteries, one for the transmitter, one for the receiver. If I can take the receivers permanently on power and never have to change batteries, it's going to make my life a lot easier. And furthermore, the preamps on these camcorders are acceptable, but they're nothing compared to what you can do with a good preamp. And from everything I've heard, this is a very good preamp. However, I'm not plugging in electric guitars and stuff, so it might even be overkill for my needs. But maybe you guys can help me tune that audio later in the week. I'll do a video where I'm just hooking up the audio and trying to get it dialed in. So I got a million projects going on. I still haven't finished the 13th gen build that's sitting over here. I've got another build over here. I've got three more builds over there. And then I've got these upgrades to do on the giveaway computers that add HDMI ports. And I'm going to show you how to do that next week, or maybe even this weekend. We'll see. It's really easy and it's really cool. Thanks for watching. Thank you for all your contributions and support. And most importantly, thank you for your kindness. Thank you, Camera Girl, for your thumbnails and your fine camera work. I will see you all tomorrow, 1 o'clock Pacific time, as I do every Friday. Until then, bye for now.